So today I am going to be having a little bit of fun showing you how my makeup techniques have had to change along the way, um, because it wasn't flattering or also because my features have changed. So I'm going to show you how I used to do my makeup, as well as some mistakes that I used to make that I needed to fix. And then I'm going to show you how I do my makeup now. And so we can kind of compare. Now, before, when I was younger, I didn't use sunscreen. And that is the most important thing to do. So start off with, your proper skincare. And that always includes sunscreen. And now what I do is I actually will use an eye primer. And before, if I didn't, you get all of your this line of all of your eyeshadow right in the crease. With the eye primer, it really doesn't do that. It keeps your eyeshadow in place for all day, and I really have gotten spoiled with that. So I'm going to put that on this side. And then I always like to follow that up with just a really light wash of color here. Just to have a nice little base. There we go. And I'm going to use a little bit of a darker color palette today just to really show you why I do things the way I do. I am going to really try to apply my makeup on both sides, like purposeful, like I'm trying to look good, because a lot of times you see where, okay, if I do this side really sloppy and then this side good, then, well, yeah, it's obvious. So let's start off with the crease color. And I am going to go in with this and maybe this. Okay. We'll see if I want to add a little bit more of a red. How I used to place my eyeshadow was right in the crease. So I would just go in here and get it on in there. I have to say I really didn't have good blending skills. All right. So as you can see, you almost can't even see the crease color because it's right there in the crease, I mean, my skin is now lower, so it's not as, so you really do want to blend up a little bit even more above that. So let me show you how I do that. And what you want to do, I went directly into this very, very dark color, and you're not then creating a gradient. So let me go in with a slightly lighter color, and I am going to go in with something like this. Okay. And that way you're building it up. I am going to go into the crease, but also slightly above. And by doing the circular motions like this, as well as the windshield wiper, you're getting it into the crease, but then by doing the circular motions, you're blending that up. Okay. All right. And now what I'm going to do is then go in with the darker color. And where you want to start that is more on the outer side, and then just kind of blend on in. Again, thinking about gradient. Okay. So as you can see here, I'm kind of using this part of my real estate more. Here, it's kind of left. Here it's not, it's more focused just in the crease. Okay, and so the next thing I am going to do is use a very dark lid shade. And I used to do this, but now I realize I really can't because it closes up my eye quite a bit. With this color right here, and go all along the lid. Okay. Okay. Now, there's two ways of doing this. I'm going to show you one thing I really like to do is definitely keep this area bright. And that way my eye looks more open. And so I'm going to go in with, say, a color like this and just sweep it over the inner part of my lid. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is then take that purple color and focus it just on the outer side. Now, with all of your eyeshadows, everything, eyelashes, eyebrows, you want to keep it above. You want to follow that line. The end of your, or the side of your nose to the side of your eye up. So everything's going to be contained in this area. If you go too far down, it starts dragging the eye a little bit. Okay. So I'm putting the color in here. And that way you're still seeing it. Now, another thing you can do is also maybe put it all over your eye, but then put a bright spot right on top so that you're still brightening up that area. But I'm gonna just leave it like this for now. And that way you're still getting that color, but in a more flattering way for my aging, for my aging eyes. All right, so then what I'm going to do is take, and I really do like to still stick with the eyeshadows, and I may use, let's say a black, maybe even mix it in with a little bit of brown, like a dark brown. And I like to do my eyeliner this way. And so I will go about halfway, carry it on down. And I like to add a little bit of a cat flick, or I call it cat flick, I don't know. But this way it's, again, lifting the eye, and it is a little bit more dramatic. You can definitely just line your eye like this, keeping everything above this part. So, but yes, I like to extend it. And then just smudge it inward. So the darkest part is right there in that corner. Okay. Again, I want to show how this is going to look. Like, I'm trying to at least make it look somewhat good. So I'm not going to do it the way I used to do it. I mean, seriously, in high school, I used to use the red, black, God, what was it? I don't remember what brand. I think Maybelline pencil. And I would actually warm it up with a lighter and then put it on. So it was just this very thick, dark black line. And I didn't blend it out or anything. Here, what I'm going to do is, again, use, my eyeshadow, just so it's a little bit more of a softer look. But like I say, that is how I used to do my eyeliner. Now, that was, granted, a long, long time ago. Then I would start using a little bit finer line, and I started getting away from doing my whole eye. I would put, like I say, more like this. But I want to show you, because some women get away with it and they look fantastic. I didn't do any cat flick or anything, but I would line my whole eye because that's how it was done, I mean, it was just different back then. Huh, okay, maybe I will use a kind of hard getting it in there. So I'm going to use a black liquid liner. And go, get on in that inner corner. Okay, there we go. Now with this eye, I am going to put on my fake lashes. So I will use a darker brown liquid liner to line the very end and maybe define that tip just a little bit. Okay. And like I say, the little cat flick that I do, or sweeping wing or whatever, that's definitely just my preference. If you don't like to do that, you don't have to. The purpose though, and the thing to think about is everything needs to stay in that area. One thing that I used to do is put layer upon layer upon layer of mascara. And I thankfully had really long eyelashes, and they've kind of started to go away, which is a bummer. But so I would really like to have that. I love eyelashes, and the longer the better, and the thicker the better, and everything else. Unfortunately, when you're using mascara, you start getting very spidery. And so I'm not going to do that today, just because we'll be here all day. And I also want to show you how to some fake lash mistakes you can be making. So what I'm going to do is go put on my fake lashes, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, and I don't know if you can notice, my hair might look a little bit wonky today. I'm also filming the 5 hair mistakes that you may be making that are aging you. So if you're interested in watching that, please check that one out. But I'm kind of doing the same thing where I'm trying to show the good side and then the not so good side. So anyways, all right, so now I'm back with my eyelashes. And one thing, and like I said, the differences might be kind of subtle, but on this side, and I've done 2 different eyelash videos where I've done strip lashes, I've done the individual lashes, and I'm now doing the clusters, which I absolutely love because they're very, very customizable. So I probably will be doing another video about, it's called my Lash Game series. So that there's going to be 3 parts. But one thing you really want to be careful of, again, is the placement on your eye. So like here, you really want to make sure that this part, the inner corner, is a little bit shorter. So I added the same length all across, and you really do want to have it tapered a little bit. Now, when you have strip lashes, a lot of times you need to cut off a section of it to fit your eye. And so you definitely want to cut the very end of the longest part, not the inner part. And I used to cut the inner part because I like really long lashes. But so you do want a slight taper. Now, I do like I love lashes, and I love long lashes, and I love lashes that stand right up and that create almost like a wall. And so that's just personal preference, but you still want it to have a relatively natural shape. So the lashes on the inside should obviously be shorter and tapered down. Now, another really big mistake that I used to make is, again, you need to follow along the line. And so you definitely want to do that with your eyelashes. So let me get this here. So as you can see, if I do this to here, that last lash is is dragging my eye down. Now here you keep it above, and so that it'll still stay lifted even though you've got these very, very dramatic eyelashes. All right, so that's that. Now let's get into the concealer, and this should be a lot of fun. Okay, so I still use this and I love it. It's the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. But now that I've got more of an aging eye, during the more winter months, I need something that's got a little bit more moisture to it. So, and with this, I can use it, but you got to be really careful. It's important to use a very, very small amount, and it's important the placement. So right here, oh, this is the bad eye. What I used to do is cover the whole under eye. And the reason I don't do that anymore is because it does have this kind of weird effect. Now, doing the triangle, I actually do agree that brightening up this section is not a bad idea. But by covering everything like this, not only is it really highlighting my bags, which I don't want to do, it kind of has this weird closing up effect. And I see these girls doing this all the time, and they get away with it. It looks great on them. It doesn't look good on me. So I'm going to just get off a little bit of the extra stuff. But that is how I used to do my under eyes. Now what I do, and I'm going to go ahead and use the same thing just to show you. But one thing that I've really been using this winter is the Becca Smashbox, and it's actually just a brightening thing, but it's got more oil in it. And so I've really been enjoying that. But just to be kind of fair and sure you can do it on either side, I use a fraction of the amount. So that little trough line right there, that's where I put some. And then this bag and this stuff, I am keeping it underneath the bag. And then I have a little sunspot right there. So by doing this, and even still, you've got a lot of product. I mean, I love the camo, and I use it a lot in the summertime. And you just kind of keep it from going up under your eye. And so here again, I'm just almost brightening the shadow so that the bag and the shadow are almost on the same, it looks like you're evening up the level that they're at. There we go. And that way it kind of conceals it better. Because if you're brightening up the bag, you're highlighting your bag. So that's not a good thing. So, and again, the secret is using just a fraction of it. I hope you guys can see the difference. I think you can. All right, so then the next thing is foundation. And I am going to go with a foundation that does not work for me. Now, I'm one who loves to buy online. I hate going shopping. And so a lot of times, and even when I go shopping, you don't necessarily get the best shade for you. So ideally, the the best thing to do is finding a shade that matches you. You actually want to match your neck. I always thought it was your face, but your face is a little bit lighter. Well, I guess it just depends. But your face is a little bit lighter, and your neck, well, you want to match your neck so that, everything goes together. If you're wearing shades that are way too light or way too dark, it is going to age you. And I hate using that like it's a bad thing, like getting older is bad. I'm not even going to say aging you. It's just not going to look right. So this another thing is finding a foundation that does work for you. And what might have worked for you when you were younger doesn't work now. So this is actually no. Here it is. This one, I really, really wanted it to work for me because I almost feel like it worked the very first day I did it. And I was like, oh, I love, but then I could never get it to work again. And I've tried. And that's the thing is if you get a foundation that you got, don't necessarily throw it away or whatever. See if you can actually maybe mix it with other foundations or whatever. So there's ways of if a product is too, if a foundation is too light or too dark, you could actually lighten it with another one. If there's certain, textural issues, maybe you could use another, say it's really too matte, you might maybe use a more luminous mascara, a more luminous foundation to kind of balance it out a little bit. So I definitely recommend playing with your makeup. This one I really did try it, but it just wasn't working. And so this one is the True Skin Hydrating Foundation Longwear from Catrice. And I want to say it's too light for starters, even though I think I used my fingers at one point. I remember those little triangle sponges. So I'm going to apply it the same way on the most part. But I do think that my technique of applying my foundation has gotten better. And I've never really liked carrying my makeup on down my neck. Now, if you have a foundation that isn't matching you, you might have to do that. That is part of some of the little tricks that I use to get it to actually work for me. Okay. And then what I do is just go in with the sponge and kind of get off any extra. Now, again, I didn't do that back then. I didn't either have to really worry about the texture and the finish, or I just look bad. I don't know. But actually, it does look too light on my neck, but that's all right. And I'm going to let it dry. One thing I don't like about this, and this is something that happens as you get older, is, and maybe it's not even so much as you get older. Maybe I did do it that way too when I was younger and I just didn't know or care or whatever. But like, you can see it sitting on my skin and it almost looks like it's like little points, little pinpoints where my pores are. And so I don't like that. You really need to find a foundation that just melts into your skin and that it makes your skin look like your skin, but better. One foundation that I've been using for years and I absolutely love it is this Renewed Hope in a Jar skin tint. And this is in a pot and it comes out like this. So what I like to do is take my brush, get a different brush, and then dab it and kind of move it around so it's a very even application. And again, with just like with concealer, use as little as possible. Use what you need to cover up and even out your skin, because if it's too cakey, you see that and it doesn't look good. So I'm going to dab all around like I did. So I first kind of get it on there and then I start blending it in more. And then I go in with a sponge. And what this is doing is just further blending it. And also, if you have any like maybe brush streaks or anything like that, it takes care of those, as well as removing any extra product. Since there was a lot more concealer here, that is going to start settling into fine lines and things like that. On this side, since there's a lot less, I don't notice that I have that problem. Now, what I like to do is go ahead and set my, my whole face. But what I'll do is then just kind of, now that it's had time to kind of settle in a little bit, is do this and then set it with the powder. And by, you know, doing this, I'm kind of removing any possible extra if there is any. And so then I set that, and then I take a bigger brush and set my whole face. This part is dewy, and so I don't like that. I like setting it with something. This part is also dewy, so I'm not afraid of powder. And I'd rather have it set than having that really, really super luminous look. So I'm going to go ahead and set everything. I also feel like when you do that, your other products kind of, you know, smooth onto your face a little bit better. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of how I feel. All right, there we go. It's only been recently that I've actually started using contour and highlighter. And when I say recently, I'm still talking like 10 years. So, but before I used to just use blush. And so that's what I'm going to do on this side. And I did the little smile and apply on your apples of your cheeks. Okay, I'm going to add my contour, which is the Milani Sun Drenched Silky Matte. And I've been using this one a lot lately as well. It's kind of a very neutral color. And I start here, as you've all seen my videos before, and just put most of the product here and then kind of blend it on down. And then I take a touch here. And then I carve out this part, trying to kind of sharpen things as they've kind of started to sag. Okay. And then I like to do my nose, and my latest technique has been to, right there is where I want to thin it out. And so I put the most there and then blend it around and up. And by doing it this way, I feel like I don't have to blend as much. I still do have to blend, but not as much. And then I'll just take this and go like that. Okay. Now for the blush, I'm going to use the same blush. The placement of the blush is different. So rather than smiling and doing it on the cheek, because once you stop smiling, it goes down. And it goes down a little bit too far. So what I like to do is where my contour is, just slightly above it. And I also keep it a little bit further out. I don't know if it's as obvious. Maybe I should have been a little bit more heavy-handed, but kind of just doing this and on up, just slightly on top of the concealer, you know, but maybe a little bit up. And then I do like giving myself a sun-kissed look. So there's that. And then finally the highlighter. And the highlighter I am using is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow. Now with this, I just tap it. I like a very kind of subtle look. I don't like the real super, super strong. And then on down my nose, and that's about it. Now here, I'll show you mistakes that can be bad is if you add too much. I mean, unless you're going out to, you know, have a good time or whatever, you want just it to catch the light just a little bit, not necessarily blinding you. So, but that's me. That a lot of people do really like the very heavily highlighted look. All right, so now what we're gonna do is go back to the eyes, and I'm going to show you here, and I'm just taking again another, you know, light color here. I'm going to use this for my eye, the good eye, because as you can see, it's a little bit, it's still brightening, but it's got, you know, a little bit of a almost like a taupey gold to it, which is going to go with my skin a little bit more. So it's adding a little bit of highlight, but it's not white. So I'm going to add that there. And I do this in here, right there. And then I just add a touch right here. Okay. Now for this eye, I'm going to use a little bit brighter of a color like this. And I never used to put it in here, but what I did was I actually would highlight this whole section. Okay. Now for this eye, what I really like to do is take a little bit of a shimmery color here, something like that, and maybe, you know, go like this and then like this, maybe just a little bit there. And sweep that about halfway, okay? Okay. On this side, I used to not do that. And I also would use, like I said, black that's been melted and smear it under my eyes. I am not going to go that extreme today because it's just really, I don't know how I did that and not look, well, I probably did look ridiculous. So I am going to take just eyeshadow and use a brush. So it's going to have a little bit softer of an effect, but it's still going to show you why I don't like doing that. So I'm going to go here and just line all the way to here. And like I say, some women do it and they look amazing. I mean, you guys may like this look. I just never did because I don't know, it just looked like my eyes were closed up and very heavy. Another thing that I may do now is take just a touch of the black with my flat brush here and just touch right in the very, very corner. Okay. For a little bit added, you know, definition. What I also used to do was put mascara on my bottom lashes. Now, I don't generally do that. If I do it, I just barely touch. But I really don't do it that often. I mean, it just, again, makes my eye look real heavy. Okay. All right. And so now I am going to take my Sephora, and this one is glitter copper. And I've really been enjoying this one. And this does have some glitter in it, so it just makes your eyes pop. I also will line my eyes, but with colors that don't close them up. So here I'll add this on the waterline. And I really have been enjoying that. So for the other eye, I would actually line with black. And so I'm going to take my Maybelline Skinny, which I really do like, but I don't use it this way. I might use it on the top. I will do this look if I'm wanting something very dramatic, like for Halloween or something like that. But day in and day out, no, I don't. And so there's that. Now let's talk about eyebrows. When I was young, I made the mistake of really plucking out my tail. And I really wished I wouldn't have done that, because I would say my eyebrows look like this back then. Now they look like this because I am losing hair there. So it's kind of a bummer. You lose, I hate to say this because it's so depressing, but you lose your lashes a little bit, and then you also lose your eyebrows. So that's why, you know, you kind of have to add them back. So what I'm going to do is define my whole brow and the shape that it is. And I'll show you why I can't do that anymore. Okay. Okay. I didn't brush my hairs up. I kind of just left it as that, and I also didn't use like a gel to hold it in place. So as you can see, it's a very defined brow for sure. But by following the line of my hair, my eyebrows, it actually is, again, dragging this side down. And so how I do it now is I will take, you know, a combination of black and brown. And as I go more gray and get, you know, have more lighter, you know, more white in my gray, I may not I probably won't be able to use black anymore, or, you know, maybe more of like a taupey color. So you kind of want, you want your eyebrows to match the tone of your roots. And so if it's, you don't want them too light because that looks weird, but you don't want them too dark because then they might be too stark. So you just kind of have to keep up with that. Right now, I'm still able to get away with black and browns, but I have a little bit more of a softer hand. So what I do, and then I do have a different technique. So what I do is I just kind of fill in the gaps, but I'm more on the lighter side. I don't really care to have super like defined brows. I know that for a while there they were really in, and I think you want to really define your brows so that you see them and that they frame your face. But for me personally, I like them a little bit on the softer side. Now, what I do is I'm using my flat brush and I'm going along the top. Now, except for some pieces that, you know, some parts that might look bare, I'll fill that in. But I'm focusing on the top. And what I want to do is I want to stay as horizontally as possible. And so I'm kind of just going on the top, on here, and lifting it up just a touch. And I don't follow it all the way down. I keep on the very top. I go to this point and then I stop. Then what I'll do is take my control freak and push everything up. So then it just makes my eyebrows look thicker. Thicker, yet still kind of feathery and soft. Like that. Okay. All right. And now for the lips. Okay, I'm going to use this very nude color. And I'm going to use it all over, because that's pretty much the same. So there we go. Okay. Now, if this was a little bit of a darker color, because this kind of blends in, I would avoid going inward on this side, and I will show you why. Let it dry, because this actually is a longer lasting lip thing. So on this side, I've really been enjoying these crayons. For me, the application is so easy. And so I'm not only able to define my lip, I'm also able to kind of fill it in easier. So they're kind of, you know, on the bigger side. Now, I'm not huge into, I'm probably the only person who does not like that big lip look. I don't like the fake lips. I don't know why people do them. Some can get away with it because they do it so subtly, but I don't know why it's such a thing. I don't know why thinner lips are not, you know, are bad or whatever. But I do have to say, your lips also thin as you age. And so what I will do is right on that ridge is where I like to put it. I don't overline that much. I put it right. Okay, I'm always doing this wrong. I need to lift this up. Okay. So this isn't working. So right on that line. So it's slightly overlining, but not where you can actually see that your lipstick's on your skin, you know? So right along here. And I stop there, okay? And then I go in and I kind of just add color throughout. Okay, and then on the bottom, I'm going to do the same thing, but you see where I stopped? I want to match that on my bottom. I'm sorry, guys. I know in my videos, the lip parts are, you don't even see what I'm doing half the time because I'm not paying attention. Okay. And so I kind of, when I close my lips, you want them to match. See? But I'm bypassing that inner corner, and you're going to see why. And now I just, again, line there. You can get away with adding a little bit more on the bottom, you know, if you want to be more of an, you know, overline. And then I just touch in some color. So that we've got a variety. We've got the very light nude that I started with, and then we've got a little bit more depth, but it's still a relatively soft nudie pink. Now what I'm going to do is take a brown. Where are you? Here you are. And I did get a little bit of a darker color just so it stands out a little bit more. But what I'm going to do is line my whole lip the way it is. And so and I used to love wearing this look where it was, you know, more of a brown color with the lighter. And I didn't do this. I did try to be real conservative as far as not using too dark of a brown. Or, you know, I mean, some people went crazy and used really contrasting colors. I honestly do not think that's a good look. I mean, it's, I don't know. So here I'm just going to follow all the way into the corner. I really didn't do much as far as overlining. And you can see how thin my lips. It is good to add a little bit more there, but I'm just going to do that. Oops. And then I would just kind of tap it to blend. And this is kind of a 90s look, and I still do like it. And then I would just add a lip gloss all over everything. Okay. So the reason I have to change the way I apply my lipstick is because I've got this going on. And so by bypassing that corner, you can still see it. I mean, it's there, but it's not as noticeable. Okay. Here you can see it's defined. So that's the change. Another thing is like where I just lined my lips, now I'm maybe lining them, you know, extending that so it is a little bit, making my mouth look a little bit, my lips look a little bit fuller. But so that is kind of some of the different changes that I have made. So I would say that this side in general just has a lighter look to it. By adding the contour to my face, it's actually adding a little bit more of a depth. Here, it's a little bit more flat because you just have your blush, and blush really doesn't do anything. It's not, you know, defining your cheekbones, or, I mean, it kind of is, but not like contour. And the eyes, like I say, this eye just looks a lot lighter, and this eye looks heavy. You can really see this. And I hate to say, oh, these are mistakes that are aging you. I don't really think it's so much aging. I think it just doesn't look as flattering. So, well, I hope you enjoyed my video. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And I hope you have a great day.